Good afternoon. Welcome to a stream on a Sunday. Looks a little bit loud. There, looks a little bit better than that. You have a blank TV screen. Behave. Don't give me that, Mrs. Snow. Hey there, guy. How you doing? So today we are going to be playing What Remains of Edith Finch. So I don't know a lot about this game, but the premise of it is that we are playing the game through the eyes of Edith, and Edith is the last of her family that are still alive. So there's an entire family tree, which we'll take a look at in a second, and each member of the family have died, and the whole game is pretty much just sort of discovering what happened to them, how they died, and just sort of building the story up of the family tree. So if I do this, we've got the entire family tree. Obviously Edith is still alive, but we've got all of these family members that have passed in the past, obviously. So yeah, should be good. Mrs. Snow, are you able to see now? Are you able to see what's going on? If you could also confirm that my audio is good, that would be stunning. I think today's stream's probably going to be about 2, maybe 3 hours. It's not a particularly long game, but it's got some great reviews, and I think it's pretty cheap at the moment. If you've not played it and you like what you see, it's available. I think Steam. Awesome, thank you. I think Steam have got it on sale at the moment for like about £3 something. It's also available really cheap on places like CD Keys as well. As I say, it's a sort of semi-old game, but it just caught my eye and I thought, you know what, I'll have to give it a go. Right, let's jump in then. There'll be large sections of this where I will just remain quiet so that you can so don't spoil the immersion, as they say. Yeah, let's go for it.
A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you, and I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to start at the beginning, with the house.
So some of the things that I have read about this is that there's a lot of eye candy in this. There's lots of stuff that you find yourself just looking at. It's a very explorative game. Explorative. Yes, lots to see. Lots to see. Hopefully the in-game audio is okay. If it isn't and it needs to come up, just let me know. Okay, shift's a little bit weird.
I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
Oh, I like that. I like the fact that as you approach text, it reads it out. Yeah, shift doesn't run, shift zooms in, which is quite interesting. So if I click.
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately.
Well, I'm going to presume we actually don't want the mail. It sounds quite nice.
I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral.
Nobody wants mail.
In her will, my mother left me a key but didn't tell me what it unlocked. Maybe she thought I'd know. Or she thought that the mystery would be enough to bring me back.
Yeah, I like this whole text on the screen thing that they got going on where the letters fall away. It's really nicely done.
No one had driven this way in a long time, but I saw a few hoof prints.
It's a deer. Oh, I'd love to live somewhere like this.
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to. The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
That is one serious house. Yeah, no internet. Yeah, it's not a house if it's not got internet.
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words. Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house. Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
I'm going to assume that this was the way I was supposed to go. Maybe it's my long lost childhood of breaking and entering.
The power had been turned off the night we left.
It's very dark, I'll give it that.
For the first time in years, I felt like I was home. But instead of a family, there were just memories of one.
I wonder how it knows where I'm going to go, because I could have walked that way. Oh, okay, so we've got various symbols to say that we've got stuff going on.
Like how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot. Or how after Lewis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly.
There's a lot of detail, isn't there? If it's too dark, do let me know and I'll up the brightness a bit.
The table was still a wreck from the night we left.
Oh, so Eddie was in a
It
wheelchair.
was like
by
a
the
bomb
looks.
had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture.
Can't see a bloody thing. Let me up the brightness. Oh, the graphics, the graphics. Brightness. Hopefully that is a little bit better. Stop trying to make me buy a new TV, Mrs. Snow. Oh, Eddie had something seriously wrong with him by the looks of things. God, who remembers them? Wow. The sound is amazing.
Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth.
Hear the drafts through the doors and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
Even the fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came from the original house, after it sank.
There's a lot of books they've got on there.
Great-Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house.
Oh, that'll be Barbara Finch then. Somebody like collecting their bugs.
Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit.
I forgot we were given a key. I was paying attention, honest. I don't know whether or not that noise that I can hear is wind or flies. I'm hoping it's wind.
A lot of things got left behind in the whirlwind of that last night.
Like a big box of earplugs.
My mom wasn't much of an optimist, but She never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive.
Jesus, sounds like they had a shitty life. So Milton went missing. Okay. Yeah, somebody does not want somebody to get into there. That's proper sealed, isn't it?
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes.
Why the hell would you seal up all the bedrooms? Oh my god.
I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. I think my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up.
Wow, could you imagine having a bedroom like this?
Lewis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him. Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets.
Huh, that's clever.
Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of. From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me. Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan. But I had no idea what was behind that door. Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead. I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole.
I thought for a second then that was a dead hamster in the bottom of the cage, but it's not, it's an old toilet roll.
Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own even tinier gerbil cage.
That's quite cool. I can hear something. Oh right, okay. So the gerbil can go down and into the drawers. It's quite funky.
Being inside for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting.
Wow. I'm sure I'd want the tree outside the window. That'd scare the shit out of you during the night, wouldn't it?
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat.
Okay, so we're now playing Molly. Is it Molly or Molly the cat? It says Molly on the door. Oh, that's quite cool. So the actual movement now feels like a small child.
The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it.
I think the gerbil's gone.
My Halloween candy was all gone. I thought about eating Christopher, but I held back.
I like the fact that they've changed the font used as well to a more sort of kiddie font type thing, if that sounds more sort of, yeah.
I kept eating and eating.
Not sure eating a toothpaste is a good idea.
I ate a lot of things that night.
Oh, that's not good. Going to be coming back to that in a minute.
Then I heard chirping outside my window. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her. And suddenly, I was a cat. I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared. Mom and Dad didn't even look at me.
Why the hell's Dad just stood there while Mum's sleeping? That's a bit weird.
I jumped and I almost got her. could tell she was getting really tired. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird. I gobbled her up. And suddenly, I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass. Rabbits. His face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger. A mama rabbit. Almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I was a shark. I rolled off a cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever. I wanted fat, juicy seals. I tore off her flipper, and it tasted really good. I grabbed on tight. But I was so hungry, I jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed. Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere.
I can't quite see where I'm going. I want to go left. Wow.
I wanted to stop, but also I didn't. I'm presuming somewhere there is another person to eat. Oh, there's a bird. Passenger, I was still hungry. And across the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have, so I swam towards it. I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe.
We're back in the...
I got closer and closer. All of my stomach started growling. And suddenly, I was me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to feed, and we both know I will be delicious.
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
Okay. Oh, there's the cat. Oh, that's not.
This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly. I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room.
Jesus, this is the place of nightmares. It's just missing porcelain dolls now.
Louis died a week before we left, but Edie had already started to memorialize him. Her room was like a museum. For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune.
I remember having one of these. Used to get a bit like little Superman reels in and stuff like that.
Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johan. On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind.
Oh, wow.
But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea. Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house.
Couldn't quite figure out how to come out then.
Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways. Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious. I hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long, long time.
Keep hearing sounds. It sounds like there's actually somebody in the house.
When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't.
Oh wow. So did Sven die in the dragon slide?
One summer, they evacuated the island, but Edie refused to go. For a few weeks, she was a celebrity. Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother.
Wow, that's a carpet to have in your bathroom.
The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife Kay left on the house was the pink bathroom. It was a pretty big trace. There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book. Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down.
Can you imagine having cavities in your wall big enough to get a human being in? You wouldn't sleep at night. Every time you heard footsteps or creak. Yeah, it would be pretty awesome, but oh, I was going to say, what the hell? Why are they moving? They're stuck on the side of the bit of wood.
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin. And that he never talked about him.
Feels like they just kept building rooms for descendants.
I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it. My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom, and he did. At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again, and he wasn't. I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
Calvin, dinner's ready. Coming.
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it. I told him going around was impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that.
Calvin, I'm not gonna tell you again.
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up. Then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind. That's what I want to remember about my brother. The day he made up his mind to fly. And he did.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, don't build a swing that overlooks the ocean.
After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room. Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again.
That's quite clever. I need this house. This is amazing.
The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies. Whenever people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara. Edie's father, Odin, built the original house. Mom must have locked the third floor stairs on the night we left.
Oh, it so sounds like there's people moving around. Oh, we're back here again. Okay.
Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star. I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards. Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue. She reached for the music box. And as she wound the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent.
That's quite cool. I'm actually controlling it through the comic book.
She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
The old fridge rattled and grew still.
Oh dear! Rick?
Barb,
Deserve that.
relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and...
She threw him out. But she had a little something to remember her dad.
Have you seen my crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the Late Picture Show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter. Walter, are you there?
Walter had vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Barbara turned, saw the hookman, and was speechless. He was quite smashing. He couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's gotta be another way out of here.
That night, she played her part beautifully. Wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet. The hookman had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was...
What could go wrong?
Someone at the door was dying to speak to young Barbara. At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
Oh dear.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter? Hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box is all they ever found of her. Her ear. Now that's what I call a real eerie tale.
Okay.
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
That was different. I tell you, the guy that narrated that, he sounded just like the short guy out of Young Sheldon, you know, the professor, the one that was dating Sheldon's memoir at one point. He sounded just like him. Sheldon. I enjoyed the mechanics of that. The fact that you could actually take control within the comic book, which is quite cool. Oh, birthday cookie.
I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.
Where was the music box at? That was through here, wasn't it? Downstairs. So there was the music box. There was also something in there as well, wasn't there? Through the cabinet. That sounded like somebody just ran away.
Mom said the basement was off limits, unless I wanted another tetanus shot.
This is obviously where Sven almost cut his arm off.
I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages. I thought maybe she was hiding presents. It turned out she was hiding a lot more than that. I remember asking Mom once about where Walter had gone. She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could. If there's a pattern in all these stories, I think it's that none of us has gotten very far.
Goodbye, everyone. I can't believe I've been down here for 30 years. On that first day, after the shaking started, I didn't think I'd survive a week. But after a few days, I settled into a routine. That's what kept me sane. Having a schedule, living for today. I always expected to be dead tomorrow. But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything. Even a monster on the other side of the door starts to feel normal. Almost friendly. And then one day, everything just stopped. Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid. It's been a week now, the longest in 30 years. I'm done waiting. I have to leave while I still can.
This guy was down in here for 30 years. Explains all the tinned food. Curious as to where he was taking a dump at though, because all those peaches. A lot of jelly or jam.
I know it's out there somewhere. Whatever killed Barbara and Molly and Calvin. Maybe this is all a mistake. But I need to stop living the same day, even if it kills me. Whatever's out there, I want you to know I'm ready for it. I'm going to appreciate all of it, especially the food. I don't mind if I only have a year left, or a month, or a single week. I'd be happy with one new day. I can already imagine the sun on my face.
Walter died when I was 6. I can't believe my mom never told me he was down here. I'm sure my mom was trying to protect me.
I'm not sure I want to go down there. I get run over by a train.
Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter.
He seems to have duplicate books. That'd be suspicious, wouldn't it?
But if she never told me about an uncle under the house, I can only imagine what else she was hiding. I don't want to make the same mistakes she made. Trying to bury something that's still alive. Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe two, I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself and found out what happened to everyone else. But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.
It's a bit distasteful if he got killed by a train. Hey ho.
I don't know if I should even be writing this.
There's all trees. There's all trees in the chairs. Look at all those trees in the chairs. There's all chairs in the trees, look.
Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me. But I thought you should know about your family.
Oh, hold on a minute. Is Edith documenting this for her own child?
And the history you're a part of.
I sort of want to go out there, but I don't think for 1 second that's the destination of choice. I think we're destined to go this way.
Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now. I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth. And when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible.
When was the last time you saw one of those locks? Wow. It used to be like on the front of everybody's gates. a tree house there.
I think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it. What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house? It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one. 3 of the gerbils were mine, and 2 had been my fault.
Derpy and Derpy Jr. Yeah, there's a bit of a thing going on with the name in there. There's Zerpy, Lurpy, Furpy, Chirpy, Burpy, Derpy and Derpy Jr. Obviously Charlie was a cat, Lucy was a dog, and it looks like a rabbit and a fish. Who shall have no name?
Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery. I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away. She could see it poking out of the water at low tide.
Ah, that was the old house that sank.
Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night. Edie's side was always easier for me to understand. But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from. Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better. She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us. We never found Milton's body, so my mom insisted we were putting up a monument, not a tombstone. There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now. Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself. But looking back on it now, if she told me there was going to be so much climbing, I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
Ah.
I never met Grandpa Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common.
Hold on, did she say 22 months pregnant? That must have been weeks.
They were both pretty intense.
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
Yes, sir.
These memories are gonna last a lifetime.
What? Am I gonna have to shoot anything?
It's a hunting trip, Dawn. Perfect.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it? Please just take the damn picture.
Hey, language.
I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
That's the spirit. Okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. That camera's older than you are.
You're right, Dad. It's starting to clear up. Still freezing, though.
I don't know if I'm supposed to be taking photos of something specific.
Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee.
Let's do a...
Hey!
That's a keeper.
I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Dawn. You'll need to remember this stuff, if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be fine?
Some guy who died.
Dawn, I'm being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out here make you want to chill out?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't been out here in 20 years. Last time I was with my brother Calvin. Man, that was a great trip. Your grandpa Sven taught us how to fish, how to build a fire. We found an old logging trail.
Dad!
Good eyes, Dawn. Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of you.
Dad, I...
Just breathe. Turn off your imagination. Let me get behind you.
Do I have to do this?
Dawn, you don't have to do anything. Great shot, Dawn! I'm proud of you, Dawn. Always remember that, okay?
I would love a coffee, Mrs. Snow.
Sorry, Dawn, just gotta reset the timer.
It's twitching. I think
That's
it's
totally normal, Dom. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about
Dad!
Jesus.
Of all these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me. Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something.
Make sure there's nothing else in here that's worth
Instead of
looking at.
hiding from death, Sam seemed to go out of his way to meet it. After Sam died, my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
Okay, loving the fact that there's a child gate in this space. Oh, Jesus. Oh, no, I wanted to look at that. Give it back.
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it. I think he's everything you could. Maybe if I hadn't called that night.
Damn it. Hold on, I don't want Gregory to hear this.
I wish you could have told us. And he'd want you to be happy too. Good luck, Kay. Love, Sam.
Wow.
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet...
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard. Oh, is this how this fell? Maybe not. Father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, we don't need a stepmom, were the words that
I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
Oh, there we go.
time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined, and as a sign held up his middle finger. The wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent.
Ah, that's why the
Rain
chairs.
came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made. The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, "Make the music louder." I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea, and foam. But I didn't, until we found you.
That's how the chairs got in the trees then.
She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
It looks like a right little shit. Oh, cool. Like a climbing wall.
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the time, it was as far away as she could get. She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay. Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died. My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a year later. When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back. The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that. And for a while, things were good. Almost normal. But it didn't last.
They all look pretty self-sufficient.
The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle.
worth looking. You never know. You never know.
I think Edie was happy to finally have another painter in the family. Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush. I was 4 when Milton disappeared. Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors. Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
Hey there, Biggity Bam. How you doing, mate?
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Lewis blamed himself.
Dude, it must be like 9 o'clock for you. That's not in the morning, mate. That's like...
After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
It's more like mid-morning. Saying that, I think it was about 9 o'clock when we got out of bed, to be honest. This sort of reminds me a little bit of Monkey Island.
Lewis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
I'm not sure I wanted to go back out. What's delicious in dungeon? How did I take it the Wallace and Gromit VR? Was that the walkabout mini golf? How did you find it?
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery, but he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander. I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats and toads. And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself. But he found something more. I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis-topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. He was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery, but his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination, so he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor, and he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on.
Yeah, the walkabout mini golf is it's a pretty good course, isn't it, Pam? So I'm having to move fish, cut the heads off and steer the boat at the same time.
New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Louis kept sailing on. In Louisburg, he heard rumors of a handsome queen. The queen was on her own quest for radiant rainbows. Followed the sound of her silver harp. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him.
That was a bit weird. Concentration.com. Yeah, so okay, Delicious Dungeons, the D&D character show on Netflix. I've not heard of that one, mate. Don't know whether or not that's available in this country.
He began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions. Calico had insisted on advising them. His queen waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head.
Oh, Jesus.
I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
That's a bit dark. He chopped off his own head in the fish.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
Yeah, it sort of sounds like he'd yeah, it sounds like he'd chopped his own head off in the fish choppy head thingy. Wow. Well, on that cheery note, if you're liking the video so far, please do hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content.
He was so proud of being Indian. I think for him, it was a way to be something other than just a Finch. before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left.
I'm going to admit, Bam, I have actually no idea, to be honest. I wouldn't like to hazard a guess either way.
My mom ended up leaving everything behind.
Still sounds like there's somebody in the house. I keep hearing things. Things not when I'm moving.
What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner. But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night.
Oh, I don't like the way this is going. This has made all my my arms and legs go tingly. So this is Edith's bed.
That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
the power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning, okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground.
we get to go and see the house?
There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way.
That sounds like, I can't think of her name. She played in 24, she played Bruce's mother. She's been in loads of stuff, but she's got an absolutely amazing voice.
I got turned around. I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go! I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it.
There's subtle mechanics like this, having to move your hand up and down in the air.
A few years went by.
Oh, this reminds me of Paper Beasts.
My mom didn't like to talk about it. But she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you. And tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
That was actually really quite cool. As cool as these things can be. It's very well done. The only thing I'm not sure about is I'm actually not sure if we actually went through all the family members. It felt like there was a few more missing off the family tree. It's a great way of doing storytelling, without a shadow of a doubt. This is a nice touch for the credits. Having photos of the actual team. Oh no, we did get everybody. Yeah, that was pretty good. I quite enjoyed that. I sort of got an inkling when she sort of sat on the bed of sort of where it was going. But yeah, it was a great way of telling the story. Although the comic book scene was not really my type of thing, I did enjoy the way you interacted with the comic book as it was being read out, which was pretty good. The whole thing with the fish packing, that was interesting. I was literally having to constantly move my mouse to grab a fish, chop its head off, slide it down the chute, and then at the same time having to use the WASD keys to actually guide the character through the map as well. And of course try and read the chat, which I failed at miserably. Yeah, I quite enjoyed that. I think if you like something that it's a zero skill game, it's more of an experience, more of an interactive story than anything else. But yeah, if you like them kind of things, for the money that this is available on right now, it's just a no-brainer. It's so well done. That's about 2 hours 20 to run that from start to finish. I think you could probably, if you wanted to sort of obsess over the detail and take a real good look around the house and enjoy that aspect of it, I think you could probably waste another 40 minutes in there, just sort of really sort of taking in the detail. Yeah, it's pretty good. Thank you very much for joining me on this one. It was quite a nice, pleasant, short Sunday afternoon stream. And yeah, please do slam that like button. Consider subscribing. And yeah, hit the notification bell if you want YouTube to holler every time I upload a video, or well, primarily stream nowadays, because that tends to be the way things are going for me at the moment. I am rather enjoying these flat screen live streams. So yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, the story, yeah, Bam, the story was it was more sort of discovering. I think Edith had never really been told much about what happened to family members, and this was just sort of exploring the story of each one. Now that she sort of had free reign to go and discover this information herself, it allowed her to do so, obviously in prep for Edith's son, so that he had this information. But I don't know whether or not the family was cursed or there was some underlying thing, but it seemed that pretty much all of them, probably with the exception of the grandmother, who was, I want to say that was Edie, down at the bottom. I think probably Edie was maybe the only one that didn't have a horrific death. Sounds like Dawn, the mother, she died sort of natural causes, but illness. Yeah, pretty good. I enjoyed that. I don't know what I'm going to stream next time round, but I'll definitely be streaming something next weekend. Probably, if I can squeeze it in on Saturday evening, I will do. But failing that, it will be sort of similar time on Sunday. I'll probably do sort of mid-afternoon on Sunday. Yeah, catch you later, Bam. Thank you very much for dropping by, mate. Enjoy the rest of your day. and I'm sure I'll catch you again soon. Thank you, Gaia, for being in the chat and watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got that studying done that you were supposed to be doing. And thank you, as always, Mrs. Snow, for being there right the way through it. Cool. And on that note, I'm going to leave you to it and catch you on the next one. Bye.